It has been just over a year since I built my chicken coop and got chickens, and I figured I'd give you a coop update, show you what worked, what didn't, what I've changed, what I would have done differently if I knew then what I knew now. They want out. Maybe in a little bit. I'll link my chicken coop tour in the description below if you want to check that out, but this is my chicken coop setup. They have a fully enclosed predator-proof run, and they are being tiny turds right now because it is the last hour of daylight and they know that this is when they're usually let out. So they're letting me know I'm a monster for not letting them out. Now I have made quite a few changes. I'm not sure the run was complete when I did the chicken tour or the chicken coop tour initially. Hi, Nevi. But I do have a roost tree in the run for them. Couple little swings, and all of their food and water set up under cover. So now for the inside of the coop. It's probably changed the most. I have done many rearranging versions of the roost bars. They have changed probably a good 6 or 7 times before I found out what worked for me. I'll show you a little snippet of what it has been. This was the original design. They all ended up trying to roost on the very top left and would cram together and would end up knocking each other off of the roost bar. For the next layout, it worked pretty well, but again, they only wanted to be on that top left bar and knock them each other off and would crowd together so much that they'd end up overheating and panting. It seemed they just couldn't figure out how to jump onto the bar to the right. This is also when I started playing around with the idea of a litter tray, a litter pan, but because it was on the ground, they ended up just walking through it and making a mess. Now, this was the longest running version of the roost bar setup until one of my chickens decided that she was no longer able to jump because she got too fat, and I ended up having to put her on the roost bar every night because she wasn't able to do it herself. So that's when I moved the door to the coop so I could lower the roost bars so it was low enough for that one chicken to be able to get up there unassisted. But it ended up causing a pinch point on the far right where everyone would jump up on the left and then block everyone else's access to get up on the roost bar. And they ended up fighting and just knocking each other off of the roost bars anyway. This is the latest rendition. This seems to offer, good grief, Nevi girl. I will let you out in a minute, baby. You're not gonna let me think? No? You're not gonna let me think, Miss Ma'am? Come on, go. Go, 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 go. Shoo. Get that fluffy butt. Okay, so, Nevi, you're cute. So, the door, this opening for the chickens to get into the run used to be right here. That is one of the main things that I ended up having issues with because I had the door centered on that wall. I used to have it right there centered on the wall. I did end up moving the door because the problem was the nesting boxes are on the other side. Right there. And that caused some challenges getting a roost set up where I could have multiple tiers, multiple levels without interfering with the door or the nesting boxes. Oh, good job, girls. So it wasn't a blast moving that door. But so far, this setup with the roost bars has been phenomenal, has been perfect. And one thing I added shortly after in every variation of roost bar was a poop shelf. This thing is a lifesaver. Their shavings stay pretty much clean, so I don't have to clean those out or change them out very often. Once a day, I come in here and just scoop this like kitty litter. This is pelletized pine that I got wet and then let dry so it would break down into that sawdust. But it scoops just like kitty litter. So all their nighttime poops, I just come in here and scoop it into a bucket and take it out. So this never smells. And with the poop shelf, I also made it so all of these roost bars are removable. They are on various brackets. This one is just a drop-in. So when it comes time to clean the coop completely, including change out all this, I can just remove the roost bars and take them out completely. as well as this front piece here, which is completely removable. So if you do a poop shelf, give yourself a way to remove things easily. You'll thank yourself later. My original roost bars in that corner were not removable, and I was constantly scraping poop off of them and had to get in here with sandpaper if I really wanted to get them clean. And it's not necessarily the easiest place for a human to climb into. I'm just so glad that I moved the door and figured out a better roost system. You can kind of see where the door was. It used to be right there, but now it's over there. The door is on a sliding system. You just unhook it, slide it closed, slide it open, hook it back. But yes, the new roost setup has been phenomenal. And in the future, if I get any baby chicks, I can wall off underneath there and make a little brooder setup that will help slow introduce them to the big girls and keep them safe. One thing I am so happy I did right off from the get-go is the wall liner. This is kitchen wall liner, commercial kitchen wall liner. And it is so easy to clean. A while back, they actually got a bad case of coccidia. We had a really, really hot summer and a stretch where it was also really wet. And I could not get a handle on it. They went through 2 different Corid treatments. I cleaned and sanitized everything. It was a nasty one, but thankfully they all recovered. But one thing about the kitchen wall liner is I just took a steamer to it and steam cleaned everything and disinfected everything, and it was so easy. There was no wood to trap bacteria or moisture. There were no nooks and crannies I had to worry about because it's all sealed. So that is definitely something that I would do in the future if I ever built another chicken coop. Another thing that I did when building this chicken coop is made it so there was no lip where the doors open. So when it came time to change the shavings out, I could just rake it all forward out the doors. Problem was, the way I have these doors, they close flush. So the girls would kick up all their bedding. It would fall into this track here or into the hinge area, and then I wouldn't be able to close the doors. So I did add this removable piece of wood. So when I do clean out the coop, all I have to do is lift this piece of wood out, and then I can rake everything forward. And it's just held in with a couple little blocks of wood. So that is a definite for all future coops. And it works fantastic. We also had one of the hottest summers on record. And that posed some new challenges as well. As a first-time chicken keeper, I have all sorts of ventilation in my coop. I have soffit vents. This is all open with wire mesh underneath. And I have multiple windows that open. These windows open on both sides, as well as this one. And I thought that would be enough. And when there's a breeze, it is enough. But we had a hot summer and a lot of days with no breeze. So the coop ended up getting obnoxiously hot, dangerously hot, well over 100 degrees. So I ended up installing a vent fan just to draw the air out. It's also reversible, so I can have it blowing in if necessary. But for the most part, that pulling air out with the windows open actually pulled air in through the windows. So it helped circulate the air a lot better. Now, I did start out with these solar fans, but that didn't exactly help at night because no sun, no solar, no fans. Good Lord, ladies. I will let you out in a minute. Give me a second. So that fan is plugged into power, not solar, so it will run at night as well and keep us cool because our nights weren't even dropping down below 90 degrees. So it was obnoxiously hot and the poor things were suffering. Overall, that worked really well, pretty much solved the problem. I did put a small portable fan in there just for extra airflow on the really hot, stagnant nights, especially when it rained and it got so humid in there. But overall, it worked. I still did need to keep a close eye on them because it was that dangerously hot. But I definitely would not build another coop without a built-in vent fan. Good grief, ladies. All right. Turds. Come on out. Enjoy. I never thought chickens could make me feel guilty. The little turds. So I think the last thing that I might do differently, besides not having the entrance directly across from the nesting boxes, would probably rearrange that somehow. But it being right up against the fence, it meant one side was completely off limits. But for the nesting box, right now I have it so you lift the roof up, which is fine and all, but it does get really heavy. And I had some issues with water dripping down in this gap when I first built it. So I did put this kind of weather stripping along the top to keep the water from dripping down in that crack into the nesting boxes. If I were to do this different, I probably would have made it a front access that drops down instead of a top access that lifts up. So lesson learned. I would rearrange things a little bit. I'd probably have the nesting boxes on the same side as the door entry for me. Not the chicken's entry, but like this double door access. Maybe have one side be nesting boxes, one side be the door, or if I had the back side available, do that. It just really limits how I can do my roost bars, and I had to lower my roost bars because of Mabel. She's special and I love her, but yeah, she's too fat to even jump up on the roost bar, and I was having to help her in every night. But this new setup works fantastic. Everyone can fit on the top bar, and there's no more bickering or pinch points where they're all trying to jump up but someone's in the way. This was a challenging one because they all would fight over the top roost bar. Even though there was enough space on the top roost bar, they couldn't all jump up where they wanted to. And then, you know, this one wanted to be on the edge, but this one wanted to be on the edge, but this one wanted to be in the middle, but this one was too far over to this side. It was a hot mess. And it caused a little bit of bickering overall. But now that I have this like square setup, there's plenty of edges, plenty of corners, plenty of middles for everyone, and they seem to be really happy. And even Mabel, my fat chicken, is able to get up there unassisted. And one thing I think I would always do again is having space underneath the coop for them to hang out with the double door access. This shaded area has been an absolute godsend in our hot summer. The fans, the little solar fans I put up under there, right there, they keep airflow moving throughout that area, and it stays shaded, stays cool. Sun never really gets to beat on it, so it has been just an absolute lifesaver to keep them from overheating. And the double door access has been a lifesaver for me to keep it clean. Another must that I would never change is the way I set up my door. It's open right now, but if I close it, I have the double door on the top. I just pop this latch, it opens up, and I can throw them treats, and they know exactly what happens when that door opens without me having to go in there and them attempt to sneak out because they're bratty children who want to be outside. And this type of latch, also a must because I cannot lock myself in there. One thing I did quickly learn this summer with the heat and the sun is I needed more covered area. So I did throw some of this plastic corrugated sheeting on top for a little bit of a roof just to give them a little bit more shade and cover where their food and water was, because their water was heating up. Their water just being in a little bit of sun was getting boiling hot and was not helping them in any way, shape, or form. So added a little bit more roof. They have this entire area that stays pretty shaded, and then under there that stays really cool. So if you're thinking about building an enclosed run, you might not want to roof over the entire run. I mean, if you live in something place really rainy, not a bad idea. But for me, I definitely needed to add more roof to give them more shade. Grazing boxes are also fantastic. These have been an absolute hit. One, they like to lay on top of the metal to get off the wet ground if it's raining. But they always have access to greenery. Right now they have it pretty picked low. It's a little cooler out. Things aren't growing as fast, but I have another one back there. Right there. And don't mind the dead vine. We got our first frost and now it's like 80 degrees out again, so that died. I would also make it taller. So originally when I was building this, I didn't want to go over the fence because if I went over the fence, I would have to get HOA approval, and you know, I'm not about that. if it can be seen from the road. But it also means that I can't really stand up straight in here. But that's okay. Situational requirements. But when I was building it, I had a whole bunch of stumps that was stored over here from when we had a tree cut down that I was using for firewood. And I honestly just left them in here, and the girls love them. The girls love to climb on them, wipe their beaks on them, peck through them for any bugs that get into them. So the stumps have been great, as well as just random blocks and bricks and stones, because they do wipe their beaks on them and they do scratch at them, and it keeps their beaks trim and keeps their nails trim. So definitely hard surfaces for them to use to keep themselves maintained. And they have yet to use this swing. I introduced it to them when they were a little bit older, and they haven't really taken to it. They have taken to this though, which is honestly a piece of patio furniture that got damaged, so I just disassembled it and put it in here for them to swing on, and they do. They love to just hang on it and swing around. But this, I think, needs to be introduced at a much younger age for them to really take to it. And then an old fire pit ring insert I converted into a dust bath area where I can just add different amendments to it, like wood ash and diatomaceous earth or anything else that might benefit their maintaining their feathers. And they use it quite a lot. It also doesn't have any wood chips, which I originally had in the run as well. So it was constant access to dirt. I did have this place full of wood chips. So at one point they would really have to dig down through the wood mulch to get to the dirt, but that always had fresh dirt in it. I honestly don't think I will ever put wood chips in here again now that they've more or less broken down or gotten buried, because I started noticing them having a lot of abrasions on their feet. They would just get tiny little cuts and scrapes on their feet with the wood chips, and if those cuts and scrapes get infected, you could really be dealing with bumblefoot. One of them I caught really early with bumblefoot and was able to take care of before it escalated to anything. But knowing what I know now, I don't think I would ever do wood chips in here again. I do wish that before I had finished building this, I would have dug out a lot of the ground, laid cement or stones, and then covered that with sand or dirt, because they can dig deep, and I'm constantly filling in holes that are a little bit too close to the edge. Even though I have all the wire mesh buried about a foot down, they get kind of close to the bottom of that wire mesh if I don't stay on top of it, and well, I don't need them scraping themselves up on the sharp edge of the wire mesh. So I would have laid a floor down and then put the dirt back on over that, but it is what it is. Lessons learned. This was my first chicken coop build, my first chickens, and I've learned a lot. So I figured I would make this kind of update review for anyone maybe building their first chicken coop who can learn from my mistakes or from things that I have encountered along my journey with chickens. I also don't think I have necessarily the smartest chickens. They collectively share one brain cell, so I've had to overcome some intelligence-related hurdles. Now we play the game of, can they hurt themselves on it? Will they try to eat it? Can they figure this out? Will it create a bottleneck? Have to think like a chicken every time I add something or change something, because they're not the brightest ones. I love them. And they make me laugh and smile every single day. But yeah, men aren't the brightest. It's a good thing they're cute though. So yeah, there are definitely things I would have done different if I knew then what I know now. But overall, this setup has worked out fantastic. I have had to kind of tinker and tweak it along the way. If you learned anything here, give yourself more space than you think you need. Chicken math is a real thing. Even though I managed to maintain the same 5 chickens that I started with a year and a half later, it's been a struggle. I keep thinking, oh, it's just one more, it's just 2 more, and probably getting more in the spring. But give yourself more space than you think you need. If you're gonna have 5 chickens, make a coop big enough for 10. Just in case. You never know. Well, you know. Handle them from day one. very hands-on, and you'll have social chickens. Give them lots of roost space, because if they're anything like mine, they will all decide that they need to be on the top roost, even if they don't all fit on the top roost. And even if they do fit on the top roost, they will all smash themselves into one tiny corner, one side of the top roost, where you literally have an empty roost bar, except for this 1 foot section that has 5 chickens all crammed into it, because they're not bright. But they're fun, and I love them. And this whole thing has been a fantastic experience, and I've learned so much, and they bring me joy every single day. So here is the just over a year chicken coop update. I've made a lot of changes to it, tweaked a lot of things here and there, and addressed issues as they have arisen. But if you have any questions, have similar experiences, want to know anything specific about my coop, please ask. I'm happy to share. This has been a labor of love, and I have loved every second of it as well. Hi, honey. I see your tail feathers are growing back. They've been molting and looking a little bit tragic, but they're finally getting a little bit better. But yeah, this is also me saying that I would never let them out. No, they're gonna be safe in their run always. And look at me now. The guilt trip. Who knew chickens could guilt trip like they do? Hey, Karen. Let's not forget one of my favorite things. Hey, girls. Hello. Hello. There you go. Oh, and get yourself a good pair of chicken shoes. They don't leave the house, but they save me from having to clean my poop all over it. No, right, girls? Maybe you want to jump? Good jump. You want to jump? Yeah. Karen? Yeah. Mabel, practice your jumps. Good job. Oh. Smidge. Good job. You gotta season the chickens from time to time. Yeah, Mabel, you need to practice your jumps. Yeah, get some cardio, and cause you chunky. You chunky girl. You chunky monkey. Yeah. You know, I made all those variations of roost bars for you to make sure that you had no trouble getting up, right? Yeah. Oh, I know. I know. You can't help it. You're just built different. I get it. Okay. Love you anyway. Say bye, Maple. As always, thank you for watching. Again, if you have any questions, let me know, and I will see you next time. Bye.